Welcome to our video series, which is going to be discussing Microsoft OneDrive and Microsoft SharePoint. If you're new to SharePoint and OneDrive, then this is a series of videos to help you to understand the differences between the two tools, how to use them effectively, and some troubleshooting steps as well. So our first video is all about what is the difference between OneDrive and SharePoint. Let's jump online and have a look. So I'm going to open my Microsoft Edge browser here and visit office.com. If you're not signed into office.com already, then you can use your Microsoft 365 work account to sign into this. You'll see in the bottom left-hand corner that I'm signed in as John Smith. Let's click on Apps in the bottom left corner and then All Apps to see the apps that are available to us here in the cloud. Under the main apps here, you'll see the main Office apps you're familiar with: Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, Teams as well, and also Clipchamp for cloud-based video editing. The other two shortcuts are SharePoint and OneDrive. OneDrive is your personal storage space in the Microsoft 365 cloud. Only you have access to it, unless you choose to share files with other people from your OneDrive. Your OneDrive is used to store work in progress, desktop shortcuts, pictures, videos, etc. Don't use OneDrive and share folders with people in your organization. That is what SharePoint is for. SharePoint is a cloud storage solution for your business where you can create what are called SharePoint sites. Inside SharePoint, you can store data, whether that be files, folders, lists, all sorts of things, and make them available to groups of people. A group can contain no people because you can remove everybody from it, and a group can contain as little as one or as many people as you need to add. And then the security of the data in that SharePoint site is limited to just that group of people. That's what makes it better than using OneDrive. It's a much better platform and integrates with some more of the Microsoft 365 tools, such as SharePoint lists, Microsoft Teams, and so forth. Let's click on the OneDrive icon first of all to have a look at John's OneDrive. When we go to OneDrive in the browser here, you'll see we land on the Home tab. The Home tab is a summary of everything that John has been accessing across the organization, whether that be OneNote files here we see, Excel files, SharePoint lists, PDFs, Word documents. No matter whether they've come from John's OneDrive or they've come from a SharePoint site somewhere, they're here on the Home tab. Quite useful for picking up on things you've been working on recently. And you can filter across the top. If we click on My Files, we'll look at John's personal folders and files. So these folders exist inside John's OneDrive, and also we find there are files as well. So within the OneDrive here, we can click on this Word document, for example. This will open up the Word document here within Microsoft Word Online, and we can edit it. And while we're editing, it's being saved in real time. You can also share files from here as well. There's a share button, and you can choose, depending upon how your security is set up in your organization, you can share files or folders either internally or externally, or a mix of both. Be conscious when you're sharing. It's always worth following some of the settings here. It's like setting passwords, choosing whether people can edit or view, or whether they can download or not, and also setting expiry. You don't want infinite shares going on. Absolutely, you do not want this feature here turned on. Anyone, normally when we manage a Microsoft environment for organizations, we will turn that feature off. So only people in the organization or people you assign have access to content. Let's close that. It's very easy to create or upload. So when we click on this button here, we can create a folder, we can upload files or upload an entire folder, or we can create blank documents right from the get-go here using these shortcuts. That, in a nutshell, is OneDrive. You can install OneDrive onto a Windows or macOS device, and also any smartphone, iPhone, Android, tablet, etc., and access your files that way. Very useful. A useful feature we'll cover shortly as well in another video is, you'll notice here, desktop, documents and pictures. These appear when using the OneDrive Sync tool. So we'll look at that in a future video. Let's now jump back to our apps screen here and look at SharePoint. When you click on the SharePoint icon here within the apps dashboard, you'll go to a SharePoint dashboard, which will show you sites that you're following, recent sites you've visited, and any featured sites. You'll also see here frequent sites that you visit. So you'll see here a number that are listed here. Let's jump into one of our sites, and that's the operations group. So when we click on this, this will open in the same tab. When we go into here, you'll notice there's a list of things down the left-hand side. If this was a brand new SharePoint site, you wouldn't see as many as this, but you would definitely see documents. You would definitely see notebook and pages and site contents. So documents is what's called a document library. You can create multiple document libraries within a SharePoint site. From the new button here, you can create document library. You get one called documents by default, but it may have been renamed. So it could be files or something else. Let's click on documents. And you'll see here, when we're in documents, we get a very similar view to what we just saw in OneDrive. We see folders and we see files as well. I can click on a file here in SharePoint in the same way I could in OneDrive. And you'll notice here I can now edit that document using Word Online. Let me just close that. And if we drill into a folder, you'll see here we've got, for example, Excel files. So you can store any sort of file you need in SharePoint. One of the killer features of SharePoint is the fact that when you do open an Office document, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, multiple people can have that file open at the same time and can be editing it live real time. And you will see highlighted cells with people's initials next to them to show where they are working as well. Very useful for collaboration, teamwork, meetings, and so forth. As you make changes, they're saved in real time. Now, one of the big features that both OneDrive and SharePoint both have is what's called previous versions. So if we click on more actions here, and we can see a number of options here available to us in the list, and here is version history. When we click on version history, you can see the different versions of this file that have been edited or created over time. So this file hasn't been updated for a little while, but we can roll back to an earlier version if, for instance, some incorrect data had been added and no one knew what that was, or you just needed to roll back due to some other corruption, data loss, or whatever it might be. So we can click on this link here. We can either view this file, we can restore this, or should I say view this version, restore this version, or delete this version as well. If you restore the version, it becomes the next new version. Let's do that. You're about to replace the current version with the selected version. And what will happen now, if we just close this, there we go, version number 5. So this is basically a copy of the one we just restored. And I can click on this now. If I just close that, if I reopen the file now, this will be an older version of the file. So this one was blank, not very helpful. You can also access the previous versions when you're in Excel Online or Excel on the desktop by clicking on the file name at the top here. And from here, you also have version history and breadcrumbs here showing the location of the file. If we click on version history, again, you can see it in a different form this time. So let's go back to our previous good version, which was this one here. It was version 4. So we can click on this just to have a preview of what it looks like. Yes, there's my data. It's come back now. Let's restore that. And that will restore that file for us. Okay, now let's close that. So in a nutshell, that's the difference between OneDrive and SharePoint. Your OneDrive is your personal storage area, and your SharePoint is for your company shared area. So our next video, we're going to look at now how we can get these files and folders to synchronize with our computer, whether that be a Windows or Mac computer. We'll use Windows to demonstrate that.